In this video, we're going to be working with Illustrator and After Effects to create a short animation that works with scaling, rotating, opacity, and position or movement. Your end video can look something like this. So first in Illustrator, I have 3 different objects. You saw 4 in the video. I just duplicated this in the program. But what we can do is just make one more, and I'll change the color. And I'm actually going to put this on a new layer. These are labeled, whatever you want to label them as. This is just to help me direct it a little bit more when I get into the other program, but they are on their each layer, so I can control them separately in their own properties. And then I would just save. So I'm going to open up After Effects. I'm going to bring this up. And you could do a new project here, or you can open like this. And I want to do a new composition. This is new composition from footage. That's more for videoing. Right now we're going to concentrate on animation, so we're going to do new composition. And this is usually correct, like we want it this width. That's proportionate to YouTube and different websites that you want to post it on. Frame rate is usually about 30. Resolution, I keep it at half right now. You might have to go down to a quarter or a third. Start time, again, you can work with this. I have it starting right at the beginning. And duration, which we can add on to as well, but I have it for 10 seconds. Background color you can change as well, but for this, we're just leaving it as white. And we're going to push OK. So opening After Effects up, this is the general view, where down here your layers and the files you want to edit will be. This will be your timeline. So this is where you'll be able to move your keyframes around, position that you want. Here are the seconds down here. Different things, effects, and everything you can do. This is where you'll mostly be working. So you can see that you can change the size of it if you want. You can do fit, you can do 25%, everything like that. So with this is comp 1 just to get us rolling, but I'm actually going to import file, and I'm going to find my demo, which is right there. And it could be footage, perhaps, if you're filming something, but we want composition for this. And there we are. So I'm actually going to take away that composition, because we don't really need that since we have our own. And I'm going to drop down this folder, and you can see 4 different Illustrator files, because each layer was a file, because I want them to move independently. If you maybe have a background scene that's not moving, that can easily be one layer, and that can save you some time. So I'm just going to take all of these, so click, shift, click, and drag them down here. So what I want to do first is let's do the blue. So we'll do the blue box. And I'm going to double click, and sort of like what happens in Illustrator when you double click and it goes into this sort of like sub layer, that's what it's doing now. So I want this, personally I want this anchor in the middle, and we're going to click off of that, and you can do that for each one. So we'll go down here, double click. This will help with rotation, scale, and it's just a good practice to do. I'm not sure why it doesn't really always go in the middle. Maybe the program cannot recognize it for some reason, but we'll just get it done here. And then you have the opportunity to move these around right now to get them separated from each other. And I do want to do that for this tutorial's sake. So with this blue one, I'm going to scroll down here, twirl down with this arrow, and we're going to start with the transform for this, and we're going to go through each of these, minus the anchor point, because the anchor point is what we just fixed. Now you can do the anchor point at different areas, and that will affect how maybe it rotates or it scales differently, you can experiment with that. But we'll be working with position, scale, rotation, and opacity. So quick way to do this is that we just click the stopwatch here under position. So we're on the blue, we're on position, and so that's the position I want. We'll say 2 seconds, and once I start moving these, another point will come along. So we only need the stopwatch, the point to start it, and then the others will add on. So this, if I go, and what I'm doing, I'm just hovering over this and then clicking to my right, and it will go down. A little bit more, clicking to my left, and it will go up. And that's for the second one here. For the first one, if I go to my left, it will physically go left. If I go to my right, it will physically go right. You can manually enter those as well. And I'm just going to take my playhead in the beginning, press the space bar, and there I go. And that's how you position it. It's as easy as that. The big thing here is that these are all quite easy to understand, the basic concepts of them. It's really about timing and precision. That's when they can get a little tricky, and you have to be really nitpicky about how you want to treat these. So easy concepts, but that's only the first step. So again, transform, we went to position, now we're going to go to scale. So I clicked on scale, I'm on the green. I've got my little stopwatch going. So you can see that guy's already moving because he's on his own separate timeline. So with this, it's at 100. Let's go to 200. Now just watch because it can get pixelated. You see how it's getting blurry already? So you really want to think about that. If you want it this big, let's say we'll go up to almost 300%, right? Plan it out that much in your Illustrator file and have it as the biggest size you want. And then you can always scale it down in the program and it won't affect it as much. Again, just using the left side, doing 80%. If I want to go to the right, I'd scale it down. Now these are locked right now. If I unlock them, it's going to twist it. I mean, this could work or it couldn't work, it's really up to you, but it's going to make it sort of like flat like a pancake. And then if I go toward the left, it's going to squish it down. So it's really up to you how you want to work with that. It's all experimentation for this video. And there you go, that is scale. Next we're going to go to our orange one here. Swirl down on transform and rotate. I'm going to bring my playhead back to the beginning. And this is where the anchor points, the middle right here, really matters because if my anchor point was out here, it would sort of swirl heavier on this side of it. If it was down here, it would of course swirl heavier on this side. So having it right in the middle, it will look more like a wheel that is turning. So I'm going to start here. And if I go to my right, it will spin to my right. And then how many times do I want it to spin between these two? So the first one is speed, the other one is direction. And you can see that up here by this. So it is experimentation a little bit about how much you want to spin it. You can even go negative, so we could test that out. Going to the left again. So let's see how this works. And you can of course look up online to see like what are some good algorithms to use for this, to get a good spin on and everything like that. Right now I am truly just experimenting to see what is going to work for me. So, play it one more time. So I thought that was a really nice spin. That last one there. So it seemed to spin more than once, but it really wasn't, just because of the shape of the object there. And last one here is going to be the yellow, and we're going to do the opacity. So again, back to the beginning here. And I'm going to actually start with 0, and then we will grow into 100. Go back down to maybe 50-ish%. And then back up to 100. And again, usually a lot of these functions aren't used by themselves, they're used in conglomeration with each other. So this would be really good maybe with scale, or if you have, 0, 100, 0, 100, back and forth, it can look like a flashing light. So I'm just showing you the bare bone basics here, but you can really use these to make something really interesting. So that's it. So let's look at the end of our animation. And there we go. And once you start to feel comfortable with these, start working with timing. So how you want to save this, you can do File Save As, and that will save it as an After Effects file for you to later on edit. Okay, so just File Save As. But we want to export and add to Render Queue if we are totally done. This is an awesome movie. We're good to go. So we have this here. We have lossless. We have best settings. Again, this is something to look into a little bit more if the file seems really heavy. And then we just want to render. And then with that, it's actually right here, Comp 1 Movie. It will open up in QuickTime Player. And then it will play. We're going to shorten the time, but that's okay. And then if we wanted to save this out, we can save that now as a little movie. So I can even push there, and it will play there. And there you go. That is your basic introductory into a more animation way to do After Effects.